You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network. The giant shark attack movie, 47 Meters Down.
And this is all you need to know about the movie.
There's a lot of heavy breathing.
A lot of heavy breathing before they even get in the water.
Not just because Patience gets all turned on when she watches horror movies.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
I watch Mandy Moore.
Yeah, you got Mandy Moore as Lisa and Claire Holt as Kate. And you ask this movie, the two girls going down in a shark cage that gets the cable snaps and they end up at the bottom of the ocean floor. Guess how far down? Just guess.
48.
I believe it was not more than
47 feet down, right?
No. I don't know why is this movie in the metric system? I don't understand.
Seriously.
They're in Mexico.
What are we in Europe? This is bullshit.
Well, Mexico. Does Mexico use the metric system?
Yes, they do.
I assume they do.
It's around 150 feet.
So it makes you ask them right off the bat, is everyone going to survive this movie? Will Kate get 8? Will the shark want some Mandy Moore? Well, you're going to find out.
And were the Mexican Cokes worth it?
He's seriously been he's been waiting to use that joke.
You said you wouldn't use that.
No, he specifically said he was going to use that joke. I feel a little betrayed
right now.
That's okay. Get used to it. You just met me. Matthew Modine has a nice appearance here as the captain of the ramshackle ship.
Which was called, what was it called?
It was called the Sea whatever. I can't remember.
Oh, man.
Sea Eon or something like that.
I kept trying to remind myself, don't forget the name of the ship. Don't forget the name of the boat.
It was like Sea Eon or something like that.
It was a catchy name.
It was a pun.
The SSPOS.
Yeah, seriously. This ship, what sensible person, once again, in Mexico, they just meet two hot guys, two hot white chicks in Mexico. No, seriously. It'll be great.
This old white dude who has a really shitty boat.
Bien.
I'm sorry, every horror movie that's ever taken place in Mexico has started with this exact same plot.
And that's how you get your kidneys stolen.
It starts with a club scene?
Kinda, yeah.
So if every horror movie jumps off a bridge, it's cool if you do it too.
As long as it's 47 meters down.
As long as it's 47 meters down. Or whatever the American equivalent of that is.
I
think it's like 150 feet.
Is it?
I don't know.
Chris, I'm way too drunk to do math.
For fuck's sakes.
You want to know what this movie needed in the beginning, though?
Right
it needed Chevy Chase as a land shark.
Wait, who played Captain Ron?
Kurt Russell, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know who didn't is who's reviewing this because we haven't introduced ourselves at all.
No, we haven't.
I am Chris, in case you haven't learned that by now.
Patience, of course.
And I am Nick of the UGO podcast.
I have patience with these people, but I am Mike.
You have very little patience with these people.
What is up with the puns on my name tonight?
It's so easy. I have so much patience.
You're still new to them. They'll get over it.
Yeah. It's so easy though.
I mean, with the initial amount, with the initial amount. All right, give me a chance here.
Sorry.
With the initial amount of setup, which thank God isn't much, as we okay, they're sisters, vacation in Mexico, part of the reason. Kate is the adventuresome type who's just gone out and done every crazy thing she could think of, whereas Lisa, Mandy Moore's character, a little bit more conservative. She's been in a long-term relationship with a guy for a while who has just dumped her. She's feeling like shit, like she's never really lived. His boyfriend told her, "You're boring,"
which is ridiculous.
Okay, so this is a serious problem I had with the movie. Mandy Moore is such a pushover. Come
Absolutely.
on. I mean, first of all, your boyfriend tells you that you're boring and breaks up with you, and then your sister's like, "You never do anything fun. What are you gonna do? Post pictures of you sitting at the hotel?" And I'm just the whole time wow, people don't appreciate you at all.
Man,
I mean, her character was so...
They run all over Mandy Moore.
Yeah, it was bad. And just FYI, 47 meters is 154 feet. Thank you very much.
Very close.
Thank you, calculator app. I'm gonna slightly disagree. Mandy Moore, maybe it's because I relate because I am that type of person where I don't want to do the dangerous thing. I don't want to swim with sharks. But I will. I'm like Marty McFly. If someone calls me yellow, someone says you're
chicken.
You're such a bitch. Why don't you just come do this with me? It's hard because she is in competition with her sister, and the other sister thinks there was never a competition, but it's never that clear cut when you're a sibling like I am, and you're always competing, even if one of you doesn't realize
And they make
it.
that part clear in the plot, and also just the fact that she's at such a low point. She's she feels
She's a little
like
bitch.
shit, and she's looking for something. And I was like, I get it. I don't particularly like either one of you, but I don't hate you either. I only dislike
Mandy
you.
more.
I only dislike you in the sense that you're 20-somethings who are having fun in Mexico, and I'm here in my house.
I don't think Mandy Moore's
And
a
not
20-something,
in my 20s.
though.
Well, she's playing a 20-something.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they say that one way or the other.
I don't know. Mandy Moore,
I
she's not
disliked
real
all
old.
of the characters, honestly. I know Mandy Moore is the main character.
You didn't
I
like
disliked
Captain
her.
Taylor?
I disliked her sister. And all the other characters are not even.
I mean, there's not
Not
much in the
characters.
way of characterization because thank God this movie gets onto the real story, like the horror movie part of it, rather quickly.
When it
as they-
starts, it starts.
Yeah, as they get into
but
this
even
cage.
the sharks were sort of.
Well, the sharks were PS4
what about-
graphics attacking them.
What about the shark's backstory? I mean,
I seriously
They have
could
a
not relate
family
to
to
them.
feed.
I could not relate to the sharks.
yes,
That was really funny, though.
I mean, what I think actually made this movie work more than anything for me is that they really set them up in between a rock and a hard place because they're sitting at the bottom of the ocean floor. They have to actually get out of the cage if they want to communicate with the ship above because there's a radio distance thing. So they have to keep taking chances. Say, hey,
that's a pretty good distance.
are you guys going to help us or not? And on
they're
top of
running out of
that,
air.
they're running out of air and
Sharks.
there's sharks around and. If they can't swim straight up to the surface because if they do, they will get the bends, which kills your ass. So issue.
Oh, which is
about
actually
scuba diving.
it's a lot of this movie is actually pretty accurate to scuba diving.
Really?
If anyone's ever scuba dived before,
No, fuck that. There's sharks down there.
yeah. But no, the bends thing's a
Think
real.
of the pictures, Chris.
The bends thing's a real thing.
Yeah, you get nitrogen bubbles in your blood, and they'll go to your brain, and you die.
Yeah.
And then you become Nitrogen Man, who's dead.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, Nitrogen Man for 10 seconds before he dies. That's tragic.
The nitrogen, staying under for a long period of time, will affect your brain patterns a little bit. Not to the extent that this movie does, but
Foreshadowing.
But that's later. But most of it is actually pretty accurate. The cage is pretty much like the cage they would use in a thing like that.
Except older and much crappier.
One of the
very
things,
rusty.
that amount of rust.
yeah.
Warning sign.
I just
was
wanna,
$100.
I want to shout out right now to the movie makers because that cage was rusty as fuck, but yet they had state of the art scuba gear. Like their masks and their tanks were all pristine
They
and
were
beautiful.
pretty nice, actually.
Yeah.
That was all super modern.
He
but
spent
yet-
all his money on that stuff.
Yeah, and the tetanus shots you got to get after you get out of the cage.
Seriously, it made me feel dirty when they were showing close-up shots of it.
That's the one thing here where I'm just like, okay, I get why they were like Mandy Moore gets pressured into doing this thing. I understand that. I'm even sympathetic towards it. But there's a point when you get in the boat and you actually see that fucking cage and how shitty it is. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I have changed my mind. There is no fucking way I'm getting in that thing.
There's no way.
Yeah, I'd be like,
and
it
she
wouldn't
has
be a
that
movie.
point. To be fair, she has that point,
Yeah, and
but
then
then her
she
sister
just
convinces her again.
Falls right back.
What
on
do
the
you
thing.
want to do? Take pictures of the hotel room? Ugh.
Yeah, actually, I do because I'm in
was a nice hotel
Mexico
room.
in a great
It was
hotel
very nice,
room
actually.
by a
They were
pool.
very obviously in Cancun, which I went last year. It was
Everyone's
amazing.
like, "Oh, how boring! You're in Cancun."
I
This
know.
cinema's so boring that you're
Why
in
are you in
Cancun.
this stupid pool having fun?
Maybe I'll snorkel and take pictures in the shallow end. Of course, that didn't work out too well for Blake Lively, to be fair. But
Oh, which is a much
cinematographer-
better movie.
The cinematographer was in love with that hotel room, with that soft shot of the seashells before they started.
Like 8 times.
if it's good enough for
Yeah.
him, it's good enough for you to Instagram that shit.
okay, so obviously we have some somewhat different opinions on it. If you haven't figured it out yet, Patience didn't care for this movie.
I did not like this movie at all. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was dumb.
And what else, Patience?
In her defense, I thought it was dumb.
I thought it was dumb. And Mandy Moore is a terrible actress.
She's not a great actress.
Oh my God,
that
she's
much
so
I agree with. I think she does as much as she needs to, though, here. I don't think in the context of what she needed to do, she was any worse than your typical horror movie
I
actress.
really wanted to like this movie a lot because I've been looking forward to this movie. I actually reached out to you, Chris,
were the
and I
one who
was like,
told
I
me
was the
a
one. I
lot.
was like, hey, is there a screening? Because I want to see this
She's
movie.
like, oh, we're reviewing this
Oh, we're
movie.
totally going to review this movie. And because I liked The Shallows very much.
Yeah, me
and
too.
that is a much better film. Don't watch 47 Meters. Just go back and watch The Shallows because Blake Lively is an excellent actress. It's a much better film, although a little bit meh at the end. But this movie is not, I felt it was not worth watching.
Whereas on the other hand, I would disagree with you. I really like The Shallows too, but I think it's actually like a different type of tension. Because most of that movie she's in, I mean, she's got like one specific issue there, right? And most of the movie she's on land.
So does Mandy Moore.
No,
but
they
Mandy
have-
Moore is just sitting in the...
They have tons of issues here.
I
There's
could be
doing
somewhat
this.
patient, but you got to admit they're two different beasts. They're,
Yeah,
like, they're two
completely,
different
so to
megalodons
Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, she's got a shark between her and shore, and that's it. That's the extent of her problems there. Here, they've got multiple sharks. They're running out of air. They can't even swim up too fast because they might get the bends. Like, I mean, there's all these different things going on that actually add to the tension here that really work for me.
They
And I
did a
didn't
really
think,
good job with the atmosphere.
in terms
I
of
think.
like the effects of the shark, I don't think it's any worse than any other shark movie
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen.
I mean,
It's
the
about
CGI
the
wasn't
same.
that bad.
It was
It was-
acceptable.
And there was one
we did
good
just watch Deep
part.
Blue Sea.
Yeah, that's true.
Which
That's
is
true.
not anywhere near as good CG shark.
And there was one part that Nick brought up with that involved flares that was very cool.
Yeah, there is
a great sequence
There's a
with flares.
wonderful sequence in the third act that is genuinely really frightening and has one of the biggest "oh fuck" scares in the whole movie involving flares.
And more importantly, it's something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
So, and I give points to a movie if it shows me something I've never seen before, and that really was a really cool dynamic. The only other thing I saw like that was kind of like it reminded me of like The Walking Dead, like the first episode where Rick is in that hallway and he flips up that match and it goes out and the audience knows nothing's in there with him, but we all get when it goes dark. But
And
what's
to
that?
use a Pitch Black reference, when the guy was like, "I've never seen Paris," and then he does and then it's all the
flash
monsters.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of which, someone might have snuck whiskey into this movie.
I don't know
It was that
what
old
you're
lady with the
talking
wheelchair.
about.
I knew it.
And we might have made a drinking game of how many times Mandy Moore breathes heavily
Mouth
into the
breathes.
mask.
Oh, y'all must be wasted.
No, well, I mean, he's from Wisconsin, and I'm me, so I feel like we're okay. But we're still drinking, as a matter of fact.
Do you have any blood in your alcohol content?
Just a little nitrogen.
But that was our drinking game, and we drink heavily during the film.
It was a fun time. I'm gonna admit, I enjoyed the movie. I think more because of it.
Generally speaking, are the genre of film that are enhanced significantly by being slightly drunk.
I think Mike brought up a good point about the atmosphere of this.
Yes, the atmosphere is just, I don't like, there was something about the way they film certain sequences in the atmosphere that it's freaking me out quite a bit.
It's the cinematography.
Especially because I can't swim in real life, so the idea of that, like, also terrified me twice as hard.
So you don't go swimming in real life?
I can't swim. I
Oh, okay.
legitimately don't
So you
know
wouldn't
how
be
to.
in this scenario in the
Well,
first
hell no.
place.
Like, if they're like, let's get on that boat. I'm like, I'm gonna go get some
Wait,
Mexican Cokes
You
and just
can't
hang out on the
swim?
shore and just watch you from a distance.
So you're not going to go see Jaws with us, then? I guess.
I wouldn't do that either way because I'm afraid I'm gonna punch somebody.
We'll get him some floaties. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll get those little arm floaties.
Incredible Hulk floaties.
But
Yeah.
no, he's right, because the cinematography, when they're in the cage, when they're down 47 meters, there's the particle effects.
154 feet.
Isn't it shocking this is not in 3D because of all the floating
There's so
particles?
many moments
that
that I
it-
felt would have.
Why is this not in 3D?
Every shark jump, Chris, that is a great point, because every shark jump I thought, like, wow, it's weird I'm not wearing 3D glasses right now. Because I even ducked at one point.
Oh, yeah.
I
It was-
physically, one of them got me so bad, I physically ducked, and I was like, oh shit.
I'd like to point as well in terms of like the direction, like they keep setting you up with shots that in a lesser horror movie you already know what's about to happen, and then it doesn't pay off. There's all these shots where the actress is only on one half of the screen and the other half is negative space, and you're like, yep, shark's gonna come right there, and
expecting
it
it.
wouldn't, and they kept leading you, so when the sharks would genuinely come, you were almost never ready for it.
The cinematography goes like, we're gonna zig,
Yeah.
and then suddenly it would zag, and I really like that aspect.
It reminded me of an old a cartoon I was watching. It was actually the Penguins of Madagascar cartoon. Because
Yes, it's
what? I'm
just
serious.
like
I was watching
that.
this with my niece a long time ago because it was making fun of like this horror
With
trope.
your niece, sure,
okay,
got it.
I'm legitimately, but I was watching because I like the show.
The Madagascar spinoff a long time ago.
It wasn't okay. Yeah,
This is I'm so sad this is an audio format, because you should have seen Patience.
Yeah, oh my God,
on
it's
that
amazing.
one.
But there's a great joke in it where like they keep getting scared every 20 seconds, and then he's expecting it, and he's like, oh, I guess it's not, and then it fucking happens. Like, the movie kind of does that a lot, actually.
Well, and then you notice from the cinematography, they never go more than a couple feet from the cage or one of the characters.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, you kind of can't. Like, what's the point
What else
of
are you
that?
going to show?
Yeah.
Look, there's a fish.
Yeah.
You say that,
yeah.
but I've seen other movies make that mistake.
Or do too much where they
Name
keep
one.
where they keep filming the cage
Shark
from
Tank.
a way distance away instead of being constantly that feeling of being enclosed.
Yeah.
They always keep the camera in super tight.
That way you feel like you're in there with the characters, and that way, and it garners even more sympathy on a physical level.
Yeah.
Because you feel trapped with them.
I highly disagree. I could not relate or care about any of these characters.
She felt more trapped with the movie, is what she's saying.
That's more has to do with the dialogue and the writing, I think, rather than the sympathy. You got to admit
There's a
the
lot
cinematography
of
was
really bad
good.
dialogue.
Yeah,
in this
I
movie.
will admit that. The cinematography was amazing. But as far as, like, me actually giving a shit, nope.
Okay, there's like one specific line that happens like maybe 20 times, which is "I am so scared."
Yeah.
And,
But I'm
and
pretty
then her
sure
breathing right
But
afterwards.
to be fair, if I was in that situation, I would probably be acting exactly the
I
same.
wouldn't say I'm scared
mean-
every
I
single
mean,
time though.
I would have died just of fright the moment the
but
cage
they
dropped.
make a
I probably
they
would've
make a
cracked
whole
my neck on
point
the way
about,
down.
like, okay, our air's running down. We need to keep calm. Our air's running down, and then they don't keep calm. Like, they just
I
are
can't blame them for
continuously
that,
freak
though.
out.
But that's like not exactly a moment where you're like, "Come on, guys, now stay calm." I'd be like,
if I
"Who
was
the
there, I
fuck can
totally
stay
would.
calm."
I
in
would have fought that
situation?
shark.
I
my
want
bare
to
hands.
live. I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
Not that
That's-
easy.
See, that's not my issue though. The dialogue it's generic, but it's serving its function adequately. The thing that really brought me down from this movie is that as much as the cinematography was telling a story, sometimes it would really fall down because there's this one sequence where they're visually representing how much air they have left with the nozzles, right? And it shows like 5, it's going down from like 10, 5, 4, or like 1. But the character, Mandy Moore's character, keeps checking it. So to show the audience while she's
Thank
trying
you.
to get the air. And I'm like, you could accomplish the same effect by just showing the gauge while she's desperately trying to get it. That way we are with her like, oh my god, she's almost there. Rather than screaming at her, stop checking
Stop
it.
checking your stupid gauge.
It's not going to magically get more air if you keep checking it.
Could have been
Maybe-
like a Microsoft thing where it just goes up and down.
Maybe I could breathe backwards and put more air into it. I don't know.
So there's
Show Mandy Moore the air.
there's moments like that where I know I'm
It's nitpicking, but it's fair.
I know, but that really annoyed me. I agree with you. That whole scene, I was like, stop checking your air. I was like screaming it in the inside.
Thank you for that.
there's-
As a movie,
I didn't want
Go,
to.
man.
I didn't, like, we were already annoying everybody else. So
And there's a couple more moments where they fall down where they could have gone a different direction with visual storytelling rather than just some of the dialogue where I'm kind of I don't know. It's not like it's bad. It's not bad. It's standard. And I don't know. I feel like with me in horror, I'm a horror fan. But I am getting kind of sick of the excuse of like, well, it's a horror movie. This kind of has to happen. I'm like, I accept that to a point, and I know everyone's point is different.
of course.
And this one, it inched past mine, and I was sad about it because I was really having fun with this movie. But there's a point where it hits the third act where I'm like, you've gone to a place I can't go.
Yeah, that bugged you. It did not bug me. In fact, I laughed really hard when the reveals made
yeah.
because I was like, that was really well
was-
done.
I thought it was- I thought it was a lot of
suspected
fun.
it was the case, but I really enjoyed the mechanism that
I
they
mean,
used.
I thought that was so predictable. Like, it's like
It was,
They
when I
they pretty much shoved it in your face
wa-
the whole entire
it
time.
was.
What was going to be the final?
It was, but I had so much fun watching it play out. I didn't care.
I was
It's,
just,
it's
like,
the way it ends
bored.
that really actually like sold me on it because it's such a great little moment.
Really?
I
That's
am
what ruins it.
definitely
No,
in the,
the way
agree.
the way that little sequence ends, I just really like the way it did because it's such a subtle way of going. Oh wait, yeah, this is
subtle.
what's going.
I thought it just knocked you over the head with a hammer.
I thought it was a fun way of doing it, of ending that specific
All
spot.
right, speaking of endings, let's bring this review to an end and go to final thoughts. And Mike, you get us started.
Mike,
Sure. Well, I actually didn't know anything about this movie when I decided to watch it with you guys. So I was actually expecting this movie to be horrendous. It's hard to watch for the first like 20 minutes, not because not because it's scary, but because it's just you're watching two white people club in Mexico, and you're just like, just get on with it.
Donde está?
But then when they, they
At least it wasn't
boat,
Spring Breakers. Jesus.
What are you talking about? This is me and Chris's life story.
when the movie finally really starts, when the cage itself actually, breaks and goes all the way down. At first, I was like, well, there's some little things here and there that I'm not really a fan of. Like, at first, I thought the sharks were just kind of weird, because as a gamer, I just kept staring at them, going, yeah, that looks like something out of a PS4. And so, but then the cinematography just really started selling certain sequences of the movie. And then I just started having fun with it as time went on. And then, that last third act stuff, like, I actually really enjoyed it. I kind of felt like certain things that had happened, I can't blame you guys for having issues with, but I just still had a lot of fun with it. At the end of the day, I would personally give it 7 out of 10 weird seashell shots.
How many does she sell on the seashell
shots? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
She sold she-shells on shots on the seashore.
Nobody can do it. Patience?
Oh, I get to. Okay. How do I feel about this movie?
I think that wrapped it up right there.
I know, right? I disliked the characters. I disliked the plot. I disliked a lot of this movie. I will agree the cinematography was quite nice. I did like the undersea shots. Overall, I felt it was far too predictable. I mean, you could see everything coming a mile away, and I really felt there was a lack of motherfucking sharks. Maybe it's just because we just saw Deep Blue Sea and did commentary track for that, where there was a lot of sharks, but there was
3 to be accurate.
Well, okay, but they were 3 very smart sharks. These were just normal sharks. They were 28 feet, though, right?
She's like, pretty much once, now that she's seen genetically enhanced smart sharks, no other sharks will do.
How do we know they were the same shark, though? I feel like that's racist.
These were much bigger sharks, and so they beat the record. They were 28
Yeah,
feet.
28 feet.
Yeah.
Although I have no idea how big the shark in the shallows was. I didn't check.
That's true.
Yeah.
It was as big as this sheet.
I disliked everything about this movie except for nope. I disliked everything about this movie. I'm going to give it a 5 mouth-breathing Mandy Moores out of 10.
Nick.
Okay. Wow, that was really rough. I feel like she was going by Patient's review. No Sam Jackson's got eaten in this movie. 5 out of 10 automatically.
Maybe if there was a Sam Jackson in this movie.
In her defense, if that happened, I would have given it 10 out of 10.
Who wouldn't have? Okay, so I'm not going to go as hard on it because I really agree with you near the ending. But I got to say that, man, horror movies are such hard to rate because they're so subjective. But I really find sharks scary. The shark scares did get me. They legitimately got me. I have to give the movie credit on that. I like the premise because the premise, this, having a cage trapped down near the seafloor, they can use the seafloor to their advantage where, sharks attack from the bottom. There's like a geography to this movie where it makes sense for most of the time. There's just automatic tension being stuck in this shit scenario that I can't help, even though I don't really know much about these characters, I can't help but feel sympathy for them on some human level. I wish the movie had started with them in the cage or like 5 minutes before the cage, because they reiterate everything about their past in the cage. So I felt kind of like the beginning 10 minutes, or maybe even 15 minutes, is kind of unnecessary. I won't say pointless, but a little unnecessary. But I had so much fun with this cinematography that the ending really disappoints me because I'm so queasy about endings, and it drags it down to only slightly above average to me, because I feel like if you like horror movies and you like shark movies, this is your movie. This is exactly what you want. I think this is really going to serve you. If those things don't appeal to you, I think I might skip it. So I'm going to give it 6 Mandy Moore breathing super heavily shots out of 10.
I actually genuinely enjoyed this, and I didn't think I was going to, and it took me a while. It's one of those films, I just wasn't with it at all at first. I was like, okay, These people are super annoying. But as I've discovered, anytime you put people versus sharks, it almost doesn't matter who they are. I mean, if they're if they're slightly better than Donald Trump, is the level to which I have sympathy
Which is
for
pretty
them.
much everybody.
Yeah, which is pretty much everybody. You know, there's Trump and there's Hitler and then anybody
And
else.
Steve Bannon.
And Steve Bannon. Anybody else, I feel bad for them if they're being
See what I've been
attacked.
saying about Mexico? We have to take care of these sharks. They want to come over here, check out our cages.
They're very, very bad.
That's amazing.
Very bad.
There's some bad sharks. There's some bad shark dudes out there.
It's terrible.
They're huge.
We're gonna build a cage, a shark cage. Mexico's gonna pay for
It's
it.
gonna be huge.
It's going to be jawsome.
It's gonna be jawsome. Nice.
Oh, can that be our hashtag tagline for this?
And I'm not racist. Some of my best friends are sharks. Some of my best friends
Some
are
of my
sharks.
best friends guest starred on that Shark
Steve
Tank.
Bannon, total shark.
Well, I liked
much is
Mandy
true.
more in that one other movie she did.
I don't know. Yeah, she was in another movie. I just don't remember what
a
it
walk
was.
to
I did. Well, Walk
Remember?
to Remember.
I
And she
sometimes
was
get her
Rapunzel
mixed
in
up with American
Tangled.
Idol.
No, Tangled was great.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me go back to my review.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Super sorry.
No, it's
Not
fine.
really.
It
Not
happens
sorry.
more often than not. Yeah, I mean, it got to when it got to the point that things started moving, when the cage fell down, the tension goes for me through the roof instantly. And one of the things I like I said, it's not just a simple person versus shark. It's person versus a whole bunch of different things that keep amping up. I felt the tension ratcheted up as it went along. And sure, there is definitely a third act twisty thing that is going to understandably annoy the shit out of some people. I think partially it didn't bother me because I realized that this was what was happening at a time. I was like, okay, now I'm just in this
So
for
you mean
fun.
it was like super predictable and everybody knew it was going to happen?
But there's nothing necessarily wrong with something predictable as long as you have fun watching it play out. And that was the case for me here.
Super glad we don't do spoilers because I want to
spoil it so bad.
I want to justify.
Nick is literally gesticulating.
He's just
I want to justify
Thank you,
why I have a
gesticulating.
problem with it, but I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go
we're
on.
not going to. We have to
Yeah.
save that for the people themselves. Because I
Yeah.
actually think people
I
on the
think it's
whole
great.
who like horror movies are going to like this. I had a lot of fun with this. I thought on the whole, like I said, the shark effects are as good as any I've seen before, which is to say most shark effects aren't all that great. But it's just as serviceable as any other you've seen.
Agreed.
The performances, hey, they're no worse than any other horror movie performance. This is not something that's going to win any awards, to be sure. But everything about it that's bad is only is about as bad as passable. You know, you're like, which isn't enough to really ruin anything else about it. I would have liked to have seen more Matthew Modine. You get some old classic actor like
Absolutely.
Modine as a grizzled sea captain who's used to dealing with sharks.
And
I want to
he's
see
in it
him.
for like all of 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, like on screen.
You just
yeah.
wanted him to have his Quint moment where
Yeah,
he's
I
just
totally
like,
did.
it's like,
Like,
for
Captain
$500,
Ron.
I'll give you the tail, the head, the whole damn thing.
Or at least Captain Ron.
That's
Yeah.
Who, by the
what
way,
I'm saying.
is parallel universe Snake Plissken. See,
Yeah.
they look exactly the same. It's just the eye patches on the
His
other side.
right?
It's this evil doppelganger.
Yeah, exactly.
So Snake Plissken is really Captain Ron.
Yeah, in a
is
parallel
really
universe.
He's
in
Earth 2.
Ghosts of Mars.
Yeah, no one is in Ghosts of Mars because that movie never happened. Anyway,
Because they're ghosts in Mars.
the Ghost Sharks of Mars. Yeah,
Watch that.
I
thoroughly
Sci-fi, get on it.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. By the end, I was like, that was what I want from this kind of horror movie. In that it had me scared. I did not. Whereas I knew what plot elements, and when the big plot moments were coming, the actual attacks of the sharks, I almost never saw coming. I was always like, they did such a great job of covering that up when they were going to come at you, and almost every time I jumped. By the end, I was like, yeah, I was scared. I had fun. There was a point I was laughing hysterically because one scare really got me where I was like, that was awesome. This is what I want out of going to see a horror movie in the theater that's not one of those, like, you know, not like the Babadook where you sit and you talk about it for weeks afterwards and go, my God, that was a masterpiece. It's not a masterpiece, but it sure is a fun time in the theater. I give it 7.5 out of 10 times that I wish Kurt Russell would come and save the day.
I love it because watching this movie, I had Patience on my right and Chris on my left, so I had this little like demon and angel thing, because I had like on my right, like, God, this fucking movie's stupid,
fucking
and then Chris on my left was like, man, this movie's fucking stupid.
I was just on the right
saying,
watching the person
yeah.
in front of us just like keep staring back at us from
I know.
those two things.
I feel bad because normally we are with other press, and this was not not the case. We actually paid to see this, people. I just want you guys to know
Nick
that
paid for
Nick
us to see
paid.
this.
Yeah, you didn't pay
for
shit. I paid
all
for
of
it.
us.
Well, not for Mike, because, Mike got there early.
And
I
I
got
got
there early.
carded, that was my favorite part of the whole entire experience.
And then it turned out she was a shark. She was like, "Arr, arr, arr." And you were like, that's not scary. That's just dumb.
And then street sharks started happening in the middle of it, and we had no idea what was happening.
You have to card sharks. They don't. You can't tell how old they are.
Well, you have to card sharks.
And then we have to play card sharks.
Because otherwise they'll take your casino in Vegas, so you don't want that.
That's what the land sharks are for.
Yeah.
How many more puns can we fit in before this review ends?
No more.
Mandy,
Bye.
more.
It's over?
Bye.
Mandy more.
It's over.
Are you saying it's
No
it's
more- no Mandy more.
Is it finished? And it's
Wait till the, wait till the
it at
fish
the
jumps.
end.
Oneofus.net has been your one-stop shop for all things geek for years. But there's a side to them many of you have never heard. The subscription side. Subscribe and listen to great podcasts like The Breakfast Pub, The Original Gentleman, and the Watch a Movie With Us series. Head on over to Oneofus.net and don't forget your towel.